If you wanted to see the stars, where would you go? Alexa and I have come to Joshua Tree National Park for this exact reason, because it is, in my opinion, the very best place to do some stargazing. And I'm gonna show you exactly why in this video. But to do that, we need to go back in time to when it was still daylight. Before we get too far into our journey to see the stars, let's talk just a bit about the geography of Joshua Tree National Park, and really the region at large. Joshua Tree sits in the Mojave Desert in California and is named for the Joshua tree, the spiny, prickly tree that exists in large quantities all around the region. The entire park is just about 1,200 square miles in size, which actually makes it a little bit larger than the state of Rhode Island. That's a lot of land dedicated to this single park. Now, all that said, Alexa and I are not actually going to Joshua Tree National Park. And that's because the national park is wedged in between two areas that are just a little too bright for what we want. To the southwest is Palm Springs, and to the north is 29 Palms, both of which emit quite a bit of light pollution. Make no mistake though, Joshua Tree National Park is still an excellent location to actually view the stars, but we want it to be even darker. So, instead of going into the park, we'll be heading just a little bit farther northeast to Cleghorn Lakes Wilderness, where it's going to be far darker. But let's be clear here in this video. If you're wanting the absolute darkest place in the United States, it's not really in this region at all. But this isn't a video about the pure darkness. It's about why this area is the best overall region for seeing the stars. And I have plenty of reasons to back up exactly why that's the case. I have just landed and picked up my car at Ontario International Airport. And this leads me to the very first thing that I want to talk about for why Joshua Tree is so amazing for stargazing. The infrastructure. Ontario is really close to Joshua Tree. I took off from Portland just 2 hours ago and I'm already in Southern California. And just 2 hours from now, we'll be in the middle of Joshua Tree National Park. And I could have flown to Palm Springs, which is even closer. The reason why I flew into Ontario is because I have to pick up Alexa first. She flew down a few days ago to visit some family. Regardless, we're really close to some amazing stargazing. This kind of infrastructure really can't be understated when planning a trip like this. There are, of course, very dark places in the middle of the Rockies, Nevada, Montana, and so many others. But it won't be nearly as convenient or comfortable to fly into those places. As you can see, I have now picked up Alexa, which means...
Off to Joshua Tree?
Off to Joshua Tree. Reason number two that Joshua Tree is so good for stargazing is because of these mountains that surround us right now, which is the San Jacinto mountain range. Now, I just talked a little bit about flying into Ontario International Airport and that being a big aspect of what makes this so easy because the infrastructure is there and we're pretty close. But Ontario is technically part of the Los Angeles metro region, or at least tied to it, which means it creates a lot of light pollution. Now, if this was Kansas City, that light would bleed everywhere and you would never get the dark that you would need to do some really good stargazing. But because of this mountain range, it blocks a lot of the light from Los Angeles and the metro area so that Joshua Tree maintains a relative amount of darkness so that you can see a lot of stars. It provides this really nice corridor of transportation and easy access without any of the negatives of the light pollution. But again, we still have a few more reasons, so we're gonna keep driving to Joshua Tree. We have finally reached our accommodations for the night, and this brings us to reason 3 why Joshua Tree is the best place to view the stars. This place is built for it. All around us are tiny little Airbnbs that really cater to this exact market. And we're gonna show you right now what ours looks like.
First, you can already see, it's a cool dome structure. It's cute, it's cozy, and there's plenty of space to put our stuff. We have some hot and cold water. This will be good for when I make ramen tonight for dinner. We've got a little mini fridge to hold some drinks and snacks that we brought. We've got a nice, comfortable bed, and there's a skylight up here. We have more storage. We have stuff for us to cook. Cooking takes place outside in the grill. Got plates and bowls and all that good stuff. They even have some games and paint. A nice electric blanket, which I will probably be using tonight. But the coolest thing about this Airbnb is this. We get this awesome view. The mountains, of the desert. That's great.
So another reason why Joshua Tree is such an amazing place to see the stars is because of the vast open sky. There are no trees, there are mountains, but they're far off in the distance. And because we're in a desert, there's generally not any weather here, which means generally the skies are going to be open, blue, and then, of course, very dark and starry. One potential issue for us tonight, it is looking a little cloudy, which means we might not get full visibility tonight, which would be a huge bummer and defeat the entire purpose of this video. Hopefully it clears up, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Well, there's only one thing left to do, and that is wait for it to become dark.
Hopefully not on this hammock.
I've got great news. The sky has cleared up tremendously, and there are a buttload of stars out there. So that just means we gotta head to our very dark spot because where we're currently located isn't quite dark enough. In fact, if you look at a light map of the United States, we're near the town of 29 Palms. And you can see that it gets quite bright. Now we're a little bit on the outskirts of that, so it's not quite as bright, but it's still impacting our overall visibility. And what we want to do is make it all the way over here to this very dark spot on the map. We have made it back out to where we were originally, and it is now pitch black. And there are so many stars out.
Lots of stars. It's a little cold.
But that brings up another point that I wanted to talk about for this video. It's actually not that cold, considering the fact that it's in the middle of winter. And that's another reason why Joshua Tree is so good at this. Again, we could be in the middle of Montana, the middle of the Rocky Mountains, and it will be far colder than it is here. It is about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, to give you some perspective.
My ability to handle the cold is not great, even though I live in Portland.
So with all that said, we are going to take some really awesome photos and then show you guys what those photos look like after the fact. I'm not going to teach you guys how to do star photography in this video. There are a lot of videos that will show you how to do that. That said, if you do want to do this with your own equipment, I recommend that you have a very nice camera. I'm using a Sony ZV-E10 with a Tamron lens. And then I would recommend that you go and watch some of the videos that I'm going to put in the description below. This is going to be the exact spot that we are going to take some amazing star photography. And that's going to happen right now. We made it back to our Airbnb and I am exhausted. But I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna set up my camera to hopefully take a night lapse throughout the entire night. And when it's done, it should look really cool. But I don't know if it's gonna work, so we're gonna see. Until then, good night. Good morning. I've got amazing news. The night lapse worked. This is a really cool effect that allows you to see the stars move overhead throughout the night. It's not quite as bright as a normal photo, but it's way brighter than a video would be. Guys, I know that there are darker places in the world where you can see even more stars, but I hope in this video, I've shown you all the ways that Joshua Tree really stands out in this regard. From the nearby infrastructure and accommodations to the big open sky and the surreal darkness, Joshua Tree maintains as the best place, in my opinion, to just do some stargazing. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel and of course, like the video. Next week, Alexa and I are off to explore America's empty West Coast. Maybe not.
Gonna do a little dance. For optimal stargazing, even in our sleep.
Now. But I'll do that now again when it's nighttime.